Could there be peace in a wrong world where everything is put to right? Could there be peace in a wrong world where everything is put to right, is put to right? The gun, the sword, the bomb, the rope, the knife becomes the plow, the hammer, and the binds. The gun, the sword, the bomb, the rope, the knife becomes the plow, the hammer, and the binds. Could there be peace in a wrong world where everything is put to right? Could there be peace in a wrong world where everything is put to right, is put to right? The soldiers of the war and of the fight become the sons and daughters of the light. Could there be peace in a wrong world where everything is put to right? Could there be peace in a wrong world where everything is put to right, is put to right? Could there be peace in a wrong world where everything is put to right? Could there be peace in a wrong world where everything is put to right, is put to right?
Could there be peace in our own world where everything is put to right? This is the question that haunts our thoughts, the aching longing that pulls at our hearts. What does it mean for the world to be made well? Will it ever happen? And does what we do make a difference? Christ is risen, we proclaim. The Spirit of Christ is risen and alive and at work in the world. But what does it mean to proclaim a risen, living Christ in the landscape of our lives? Not just individually, but communally, systemically, globally. Our year-long It Is Well series began by focusing on the first part of the greatest commandment. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and your soul, with all your mind, with your strength, your body. That's from Mark 12:30. And now, as we wrap up with the last part of this series, the last couple months of the program year, these 50 days between Easter and Pentecost, we're turning to focus on the second part of the greatest commandment. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these, Mark says. So in these weeks we have ahead of us, we'll be dreaming together about the world made well. By focusing on the collective well-being of our community and world. What is our call and responsibility to cultivate wellness near and far? How do we do this? And why does it matter? And even how is our collective well-being tied to our individual well-being? As we explore through Scripture how to cultivate trust, belonging, and change through acknowledging and lamenting systemic and societal injustice, 2 quotes will anchor and inspire us. The first is from Julian of Norwich. All shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. And the second is from the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. We shall overcome because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. We actually began this new series, The World Made Well, this past Sunday on Easter as we celebrated the risen Christ, the empty tomb, and how to raise up our vision from what we see on the news or what weighs us down in our day-to-day lives to have a vision of God's kingdom, a beloved kingdom, a vision of hope, healing, faith, love, restoration, justice, liberation. What does it mean to live our lives with Easter eyes, seeing the possibilities of empty tombs, instead of seeing what is absent or focusing on what we're not seeing or what we expected to see that isn't there? Could there be good news even in places that look empty to us? Or like Mary, discovered on the first Easter morning, could there be an unexpected hope or surprise in someone who we just suppose to be an ordinary gardener, but who may actually be the risen Christ in our midst? Someone reflecting a glimpse or glimmer of the divine, who meets us and greets us even in our grief. What does it mean to live not with fear, as the disciples did, huddling in the upper room that first Easter night, but rather with a willingness to touch the wounds of someone who stands before us, to bear witness to the fact that life will involve suffering and scars, and we can rise yet again and again. We can share our pain in community, and as it heals, transformation can take place. Other texts that we'll explore this season include the new heaven and new earth spoken about in Revelation 21. Peter, the one who denied knowing Jesus 3 times, getting a new call from Jesus, if you love me, feed my sheep. And he gets this call 3 times. We'll look at the story of Esther and how she advocated for the wellness of her people. We'll read the prophetic words of Jeremiah that remind us sometimes we have to uproot and destroy what is broken in our society before we can plant and build and create something new. We'll revisit the story of the exile and grapple with just how complex the healing of the world can be when people are displaced and when oppression and war and colonization and persecution are woven into the fabric of daily life. We'll look at how the healing of the world happens, in many ways, one person at a time, as it does with the eunuch from Ethiopia, reminding us that the good news of the gospel and the reach of God's love is for all. And those we have marginalized are not marginalized in God's eyes or in God's kingdom. They are central. They are living testimonies of the power of God's love. And we'll conclude this series on Pentecost, looking at the sweeping movement of the Spirit and how the transformation and healing and wellness of the world happens when all of us are doing our part. I invite you now to pray alongside the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. during this video, reflecting on how Calvary, as a church and as a community rooted in God's love and Christ's justice, can bring healing and hope and justice to the world. One more final thought for today as we begin this new series, The World Made Well. The Jewish phrase tikkun olam is commonly translated as the repair, tikkun, of the world, olam. It means engaging in any activity that repairs the world or brings it closer to the harmonious state for which it was created. Tikkun olam has many iterations of meaning in different traditions, but one thing is common. The repair of the world is something that you and I, as co-creators with God, are able to do act by act, day by day, intention by intention. One of my favorite meanings, articulated by Tzvi Freeman, is that tikkun olam is to do something with the world that will not only fix any damage, but also improve upon it, preparing it to enter the ultimate state for which it was created. What improvement does our world need? For one thing, she says, all great art is an expression of its creator. But unlike a Rembrandt or a Chagall, sometimes our world seems to lack its artist's signature because of our actions. It appears to be a place that just is, without an author, without a story, without meaning. She says each act of tikkun olam is a fine-tuning of our world's voices. With each tikkun, each act of repair, we are creating meaning out of confusion, harmony from noise, revealing the unique part each creation plays in a universal symphony that sings of its creator. The word olam can also mean hidden, she says. We need to repair the world so that its creator is no longer hidden within, but shines through each thing in magnificent, harmonious beauty. This sentiment from our Jewish siblings reminds me in some ways of how we Christians view the risen Christ, a spirit, a force, a presence showing up and appearing in our lives, not hiding in a grave or an empty tomb, but alive and at work in our lives, in our world, healing, loving, accompanying, restoring. As we begin the culmination of our It Is Well series, The World Made Well, it is our hope and prayer that we have chances not only to lament the systemic injustices and communal griefs that we share, but to also come together for repair, for healing, for justice, for hope, for love, so that we can see where we are complicit, where we're playing a role in injustice, and how we can do better. Each of us, all of us, can and does make a difference. We are not in this alone.
We build our house on you. We place our trust in you. Our hope is found in you alone. We build our house on you. When darkness takes our side and straining has made us fly, our hope is found in you alone. When darkness takes our side, when rulers rule by fear, your rule of love will still be here. Our hope is found in you alone. When rulers rule by fear, if justice doesn't come in this life under the sun, our hope is found in you alone. If justice doesn't come, so Justice come, justice come. Roll on down the hills, come on. Roll on through the prairies deep. Roll on o'er the mountains steep. Roll on through the deepest seas. Justice come, justice come. We build our house on you. We place our trust in you. Our hope is found